when you are dealing with the marine kingdom, such things also must be expected because especially in churches where they use the marine powers, where there's water. So when someone gets raped, there is a spirit that is imparted into the victim, right? So in that moment, it means that that particular spirit stays with that victim, but it's also going to start attracting, right, other rapists. There are people that are even starting to come out to say that, this person made me to sleep with their snake. Every time you go to a sangoma and you are asked Vumanibo, remember we've seen this in movies where they will say Vumanibo.
And you have to Vuma, otherwise.
There's issues like vows that were exchanged. I will love you forever. I will always love you.
I can't live without you.
You're the very air that I breathe.
Greetings. Welcome to the School of the Kingdom Ministry podcast. I'm Kagiso and I'm not alone. I'm here with Pastor Thembi Mantjabadi. So we are from the School of the Kingdom Ministry, where our vision is to raise a generation of strong believers. You can connect with us every Monday and every Wednesday at 7:30 to 8:30 on Microsoft Teams. The links are in the description below. You can also find us on social media. We are on YouTube. We are on TikTok. Please like, subscribe, share. But most importantly, please do watch the videos, because you'll see that most of the topics we discuss here, we refer to the previous sessions, whether in the midweek session, the videos, or the in-person sessions. Apart from the online platforms, we also have quarterly in-person sessions. Our last session was on the 21st of June, which was quite exciting. If you were there, please leave a comment below. Our next session is on the 13th of September, and I'll share details towards the end of the episode. If you'd like to come and shoot your podcast at this beautiful set, you can shout out to Menk Studios. Their details are on the screen below. Okay, and back to the business of today. I'm not alone, as I mentioned. I'm with Pastor Thembi. If you're new to the ministry, welcome. If you are not new, I'm sure you are quite familiar with Pastor T, but I'll introduce her still. So Pastor Thembi is a phenomenal woman of God. She's an apostolic teacher of the word. She's a prophetic intercessor. She's a marriage counselor. She's a wife. She's a mother. She wears many hats. And I'm sure if you know Pastor T, you can attest to what I'm saying. Welcome, Pastor T.
Thank you.
How are you today?
I'm great, thanks. And how are you?
I'm good. So we're here again, another episode, quite exciting. So in our previous episode, we discussed some deep spiritual matters, and today we're actually going to continue with that, as we said, to be continued. And we're just gonna go into some of the spiritual bondages that not just believers but everyone else goes through. And I think you'll also shed some light as to how people can get help, right, when they're faced with such. So we'll start with the concept of spirit spouses. So if you can just explain to us, what are spirit spouses and how do they actually enter into a person's life?
The concept of spirit spouses, right? Actually, Kahiso, to be honest, there are a lot of people that are inflicted by spirit spouses more than we care to realize. Yeah. The thing is, a lot of people are embarrassed to come out and talk about it. Some people feel like they will not get help, and hence they just keep quiet about it. And even the people that get deliverance from spirit spouses, most of the time you will not see them testifying, right? Yeah. Because they don't want people to know what have been happening to them. So firstly, we need to understand that with spirit spouses, it means literally there is a spouse in the spirit, someone that believes that they own you, right? That you have this covenant of marriage, that is more spiritual than natural. And both men and women can get a spirit spouse, so you can have a spiritual husband or a spiritual wife, right? And there are certain things that you can see that will tell you that you have a spirit spouse, because certain people can see certain occurrences in their lives, but they don't know what is this thing that, they are facing. So when someone has spirit spouses, the commonest thing is they will have dreams, right? These dreams will be so vivid, where they literally dream someone sleeping with them, having sexual intercourse with them, all right? With some people, and I'm going to also explain the difference, why the dreams would be different in different people. For some, it will come more like a dream, all right, where it happens in the dream and a person wakes up and feels like, I know I dreamt of sleeping with this person. But then with someone else, it might be that it's so real, where this person goes literally into a sleep paralysis. They can see this person coming, but there's nothing that they can do. And then the person comes and have intercourse with them and leaves, right? So this is like real. So that's why I say, I will explain later how is it different one to the other. And then the other thing is there will be anti-progress, right? Anti-progress, and it will also affect finances, where even if you're working, but you don't see where this money is going. If you're in business, it will just mess up business deals. And it will just have this negative impact on your finances and your career growth overall, all right? And then if you are married, it's going to cause so much chaos in your marriage, where even the unaffected partner will start feeling like they want to have an extramarital affair, where they are more satisfied outside than they are in the marriage. And because someone can ask, how is it that, it even permits someone to get married? The thing is, most of the time when someone has a spirit spouse and they're not married, depending on which type between the two, right? They will not even realize that they have a spirit spouse. It will be so subtle, mostly, especially if the person has a sexual relationship outside marriage, right? Why is that happening? Is because now this spirit, this demon, is able to feed on the sin of fornication, because demons need sin to grow, and to be strong. So because there is a sin of fornication, then it's not easy to detect. All right. So you can go on years and years having this spirit without even realizing it. Then once you get married, then it becomes a problem.
Because it's a godly covenant now.
Exactly. But also because now it feels like there is competition.
Because there can't be two husbands.
There can't be
or
two husbands.
Wives.
There can't be two wives. Who is this person that's now coming into my territory? This person belongs to me. And then suddenly I'm told that we have to share.
Sure.
All right. And because now you're in a legal covenant, it feels that, it is threatened, so to speak. So because of that, that's when now it will begin to act up. And suddenly this person doesn't even find you attractive, your husband or your wife, but it's because of this spirit. And what it will then do is it normally causes miscarriages.
Oh, yes.
And it causes infertility in the marriage, right? So most of people end up even divorcing, not understanding that it's because there is a spirit spouse within the marriage. And that's why sometimes you hear people saying, me and this person were okay. We used to love each other so much when we were dating. But when we got married, things changed. No.
Sure.
So it's not that things changed. It's because now this spirit became threatened because of the covenant. And now it's starting to cause all this chaos in a person's life, especially the most subtle one. That's what it does, right? But then when the second one, right, the second type, which is the one that comes in a form of etokoloshi, because that's the language that we understand, right, in South Africa. I don't know what I will call it in English, but if I have to define it, I would say it's etokoloshi is this being that is
physical.
sent. It's both physical and spiritual at the same time. So it's not that all the time you can see it with your physical eyes, right? And it's sent by witches to do their evil deed. So when with tokoloshis, that's when now even when a person is single, they will be able to experience this thing. So they will know that there is this being that comes at night and it sleeps with me. And even when they wake up, they know, they feel it, they see it.
There's evidence.
There's evidence, right? Because sometimes even their underwear is not on. So they know that this thing has really transpired. It's not that I dreamt about it or anything like that. So, yeah, it's like I said, unfortunately, there are a lot of people that are being inflicted by this. And the sad thing is, I've heard people go as far as saying such doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And that is so sad because now you're dealing with people that are being molested. That's like saying literally that a person is not raped. That's how I perceive it, because this person is literally being molested almost every day of their lives. And what they need is help, not to be told that they're imagining things or these things are not happening or anything like that. So now, normally, the question now is, how do these things even come to a person where a person now has a spirit spouse? And firstly, we need to be aware of pornography. Yeah. Right. Pornography and masturbation plays a big role in this. It is a gateway for spirit spouses to enter someone's life. All right. So, because we need to understand that watching pornography is not just you indulging in this thing that you're watching. There are spirits that are going to enter into your life. You've just opened that gate. And also, sometimes it comes from ancestral worship. Yeah. Right. So when there's a gathering, a ceremony, unfortunately, that opens portals for demons to enter. Especially in a case where they say, sometimes they would say this child belongs to ancestors. Right? They are a child of ancestors. So that, unfortunately, it can happen that a person now gets a spirit spouse. And then you get an instance where someone, a sangoma. Some sangomas are given spirit spouses, and that is a spirit that is actually possessing them, right? That's doing whatever work that needs to be done as a sangoma. And this is the reason why, if you check, there are certain people that immediately after they go and twasane or they get initiated into being a sangoma, they end up divorcing their spouses. Oh, yes. You must just check the trends where suddenly after being initiated, then when they come back 6 months or a year into that initiation, the person divorces. All right. So you see this a lot. It's because now the spirit that is possessing this person is of a man. So this is now the spirit spouse. So they own this woman, and they can never be two husbands at the same time. All right. So unfortunately, these are the things that we see. And also, like I said in the last episode, that when you are dealing with the marine kingdom, such things also must be expected, because especially in churches where they use the marine powers, where there's water, most of the time, and this I've seen it countless times, where women will come for deliverance, but when you check, they're coming from churches where they use water. And because of that, they're giving spirit spouses. It's not a coincidence, Kahiso. And like I said, when God opened my eyes to the ministry of deliverance, and when he started to teach me certain things about spirits that, that are inflicting people in South Africa, specifically, he had to go through that teaching of this is where, all these spirits are coming from. And the issue of these churches now came, and I got to understand, but it was a confirmation from me when we started doing deliverance from people that are coming from those churches, that indeed this is true, this is what we are dealing with. And until people really come out of those churches, they will continuously be inflicted. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's deep. And, to your point about, I think with spirit spouses, it's also a bit of a tricky situation because people don't open up about it. Some people just stay being molested, and it's shame. It's really not nice. You mentioned, when you're discussing with the spirit spouses, right, that, one of the signs that you can see is when you have dreams of sleeping with someone and so forth. So now, every time you have a dream of sleeping with someone, does that mean you have a spirit spouse, or could it be something else?
That's a very good question, Kahiso, because when we're talking about spirit spouses, people can easily say, I think I have.
Yeah, because I had the dream, yes.
Yes, because I have a dream. So, but that's not always true. That's why there's all this list of things to watch out for. But when it comes to the issue of dreams, where someone dream of sleeping with someone, we need to now be aware that there's also the Incuba spirit, all right? So there's the Incuba spirit and there's the succuba spirit, that is the female version of the Incuba spirit. So with the Incuba spirit, it presents the same way as the spirit spouse word. It will come in a form of a dream, and it will sleep with that person. And normally with the Incuba spirit, what it does is it normally takes a face, right, or a resemblance of someone that either a partner that you used to date, or a colleague, or someone that you just happen to like, right? And that way, the enemy is just manipulating you into thinking that this is normal.
This is normal, or it's just in your head.
Exactly, because I'm always thinking about this person, or because I used to have a relationship with this person, but that's not the case. You must not be comfortable with dreaming about sleeping with someone, all right? Even if that person can be your partner.
Yeah.
Because I always say, if you dream about sleeping with your husband, why must you dream about sleeping with your husband when the husband is here? All right. So a lot of times people get so comfortable because it's this person that they know. Sometimes people will tell you it's because I haven't had a partner in years. Maybe it's the hormone acting up. Yes, maybe I'm lonely and all of that. But it is not supposed to be like that. Because these spirits, when they come and sleep with you, they are doing something. They are stealing from you, right? They are stealing your blessings. They are just defiling you at the same time. Sometimes you wonder, why don't I have favor when I go to interviews and all of that? It's because of these spirits. So it's not that they're just coming and sleeping with you. With that, they're taking something away from you as well. So it's just something that you need to be aware of.
Yeah, no, that's deep. Thank you, Pastor T. And, as we've mentioned, that these are some of the things that are not easy for people to come open up. But if you're experiencing such, it's not okay. It's not normal. You can actually reach out. I know you do deliverances even with such cases. So you can actually reach out to Pastor T and get help. And one of the other cases that you've mentioned also is the issue of rape. Yeah. I think it was in one of the teachings or midweek sessions where, you spoke about also rape being, there's also a spiritual exchange that happens there. That's why you can find a person, that has been a rape victim coming up and they're saying, this has happened to me once or twice, and sometimes feel like this, people feel like there's something wrong with them and so forth, but it's actually also spiritual, right? So if you can maybe just explain that for us.
Yeah. So the issue of rape and, this is one thing that a lot of people really needs to be taught, because I feel for the longest of time, rape victims really, they went through a lot and not even understanding what is it that they're going through. All right. So we need to firstly understand that with rape it's not just a sexual violation. It goes way beyond that. It is more of a spiritual act than anything else, because we need to understand that sexual intercourse is very much spiritual. So when someone is raped, something happens both in the physical but also in the spiritual. All right. And we can take it back also from the book of Genesis 34, when Dinah, Jacob's daughter, was raped by Shechem. So when you read that scripture in Genesis 34, it says to us, especially if you read in King James Version, it says that after Shechem raped Dinah, his soul clave unto Dinah. Yes. So when someone gets raped, there is a spirit that is imparted into the victim, right? So in that moment, it means that that particular spirit stays with that victim, but it's also going to start attracting, right, other rapists. And hence, that's why this person would be raped as a child, raped as a teenager, raped in their adulthood, and you wonder, where is this person living? Why is it that they keep on attracting these rapists? No, it's because that spirit of perversion was imparted in them. So they are going around with this spirit. And, the people that have a certain spirit also, or whether spirit of lust or spirit of perversion as well, will be attracted. So these spirits are going to attract one another, and this person will be raped again and again, all right? And the other thing that you need to look, when people are raped, it's either that's going to happen, right? But also just look at the behavior after that. Sometimes this person is raped as a child, but when they grow older, they start misbehaving. They go into multiple relationships. It's because of that spirit. When they themselves, they don't understand, why do I feel like I have to sleep around like this?
And they don't even understand.
They don't understand. Some even go into prostitution, all right? But it's because of that particular spirit. Some would even make the victim want to sleep with married men. It's because of that spirit. So that spirit will continuously want to, put this person into relationships of sexual immorality, one after the other, right? So when someone is raped, even the first time, we need both psychological intervention, but we need spiritual intervention as well. We need to have this person prayed for, so that we make sure that that spirit now doesn't start attracting all these other rapists and all of that. So that's basically that in mostly in women, but also with men, because we don't talk enough about boys that are being molested, right? The focus is mainly on girls. But then what are the implications of a boy being molested? And that is homosexuality. Boys that have been molested, what that spirit will do now, that spirit of perversion, is now this boy that used to feel like a boy suddenly feels like, I have to be someone's girlfriend. Right? So from that moment, when this spirit even matures with this boy, then at some point they will tell you, now I'm gay. But it's because of that spirit. And that's why when you are doing deliverance on someone that is homosexual, you need to know what is their root cause. Because if you don't know that there was this molestation that took place and you try to deliver them, they won't get delivered. They might feel the deliverance maybe for a short period of time, but sooner or later they will go back. And that's why when these people right? Once they are in homosexuality, they start sleeping around so much as well. It's because of that spirit. So most of them, because it's not something that we talk enough about, boys being raped, they end up keeping quiet. So sometimes even when we are saying that, people say, I am embracing homosexuality, sometimes you're actually, not even sometimes, you're actually embracing demons, all right? A demon that molested a child at a very young age, all right? And what they need to know is that now it's time to come out and seek help, and they can be delivered from that spirit. It's okay to come out and talk about it and say, I know that this is when I started feeling this way. Right? I didn't always feel like I am a girl. I know that I was a boy, but this incident happened, and that's when things just started changing.
Sure. No, thank you, Pastor T. And yeah, I think with the part that you just explained now, with when boys are being molested, I think even in people that have given testimonies of that have come out about being raped as a child, and now they are homosexual, they actually do mention that it started off, there. So that's actually quite true. And as you've mentioned, if you have been also experiencing such or going through such, please do reach out. There is help. The Lord wants to deliver you. So you can leave a comment, and Pastor T can walk through the journey of spiritual healing with you. Okay. So while we're still on that, it's a bit deep, yeah. But while we're still on that, I also just want us to, just discuss this concept of uktwala, right? Yeah. Where you hear also that there's like ladies that will be forced to sleep with snakes and so forth. So if you can just, explain that for us.
Yeah, no, that is something else. And we are seeing this more frequently now, more than ever, mostly because, in any case, the Bible told us that in the end, people will be lovers of themselves and money and all of that, and that money is the root of all evil. So we've seen that there are people that are even starting to come out to say that, this person made me to sleep with their snake. And there is a reason behind why, the instruction to feed the snake would be that they need to sleep with a woman. The snake need to sleep with a woman. And we see this also with false prophets, where they want to sleep with virgins and even married women. There is a reason for this particularly. So firstly, we need to understand why women, why do this snake have to sleep with a woman, all right? And this we can take it from the book of Genesis, from the beginning, when Adam and Eve sinned. Now, if you go to Genesis 3, the word says that God gave a man a curse, right? Because of the disobedience of a man. And then God gave the woman and the serpent curses, right? But part of that curse was that the serpent will eat the dust of the ground. So there's a reason for that, right? And remember that man was formed by the dust of the ground, right? Yeah. So it means it will feed from mankind. Secondly, what God then said is that there will be enmity between a woman and the serpent. Yeah. Now, when we speak enmity, we are speaking deep hate, right? This was not going to be between a man and a serpent, but a woman and a serpent. And he says, between your seed and the seed of the woman. So everything started from there. Where now the serpent understood that my number one enemy is the woman and is the seed of the woman. And when you're looking at the seed of a woman, that was now God starting to roll out the plan of the Messiah, right, to save humanity. Because we understand that the seed of a woman, now it translates to Christ, right?
Yes.
And that's why Mary had to conceive Jesus by the Holy Spirit. And from there, you then understand that, okay, so when the word says that, and he will crush the serpent's head, it speaks of authority, right? So the seed of a woman will be the one that will crush the authority of the serpent or deal with the authority of the serpent. So that's where we need to start. So where women need to firstly understand that the devil is not their friend. The devil is their number one enemy, right? And secondly, also understanding, and I teach about this a lot, where I teach about the design, the anatomical design of a woman's reproductive system, right? Taking it from the design of a temple, that a temple was designed such that it had an outer court, an inner court, and the Holy of Holies. And it had a curtain that separated the Holy of Holies from the inner court, and only the high priest could go in with the blood sacrifice. So when you understand this, and you take it from a woman's anatomical presentation, that more on the reproductive system, that a woman was born with an outer cord, an inner cord, and a Holy of Holies. And a woman is born with a hymen, which now forms the curtain that separates the inner cord and the Holy of Holies. And that is why, according to God, only the husband should go into the Holy of Holies, meaning the high priest should be the one that goes into the Holy of Holies. And that's why when a woman, for the very first time, when she meets a man by sexual intercourse, then there's blood that is spilled, right? So when you understand it also from that point of view, you understand that a woman's sexual organs were created fearfully, right? They are sacred according to God, but also understanding that a woman also represents the bride, right? The bride of Christ. So a woman is a symbol. If you read throughout the Bible, also in the book of Ephesians 5, you understand that when Paul speaks about how husbands must love their wives, so you understand that a woman is symbolically more like the bride of Christ. So then you understand that the enemy's mission is to defile the woman, to defile. It's more like he's saying, I'm defiling your bride, right? So it's that deep, to that level, that every time that this snake goes into the woman, he is the enemy defiling this woman, defiling the temple, right? Because this woman, it's supposed there has to be a high priest that goes into this temple, not this snake, right? So also with the understanding that a woman spiritually is a gate, right? The woman was used as a gate to bring the Messiah into the world, right? So, and every person, whether a prophet, whether an apostle, will go through a woman, right? So a woman is a gate. Think about it this way. The Bible says that he who finds a wife finds a good thing and receives favor from the Lord. So it means a woman is a gate to a man's favor.
Amen.
That's how intense it is, where you understand that. And I don't think women understand this enough. I mean, even when salvation had come, Jesus had resurrected, the first person that received the message of the resurrection, of how Jesus has triumphed, was the woman. Because Jesus now, as the second Adam, needed for the woman to understand that that which was done by Eve in the garden has been reversed. So the good news had to start first with the woman, because she was the gate even for the new bride. That then there's a new bride that is now birthed out in the spirit, which is the church of Christ. So a woman is very powerful. And also even in the area of trying to defile a woman, that's why you see how the enemy has tried so hard to make women sex symbols.
Objects.
Exactly. Objects of sex and sex symbols. And how if you look in music videos, women will be naked all the time. All right. If you go to secular videos, they are naked, but the men are always dressed. What women don't understand and they don't get is that this person is supposed to be your number one enemy, but you are sleeping in their bed. All right. You are one with the enemy. So also, why these snakes are fed to women is because, remember, the eggs of women, they also symbolize destiny, right? So it means you are eating, the snakes are eating this person's lineage. They are just eating this person's destiny. So that's why basically they are fed snakes. Women need to understand their value, both in the natural and spiritually.
That's actually quite deep. No, thank you, Pastor T, for breaking that down. Yeah, I think, most of us, we actually hear of these concepts, but we don't understand the why, right? And it's very important, to actually get the breakdown, and maybe even women can start seeing themselves differently, But thank you for that. And while we're still on that topic, actually, I just want us to also break it down further to soul ties, right? Because I know with things like sexual intercourse, there's also that concept of soul ties. And most people, myself included, sometimes don't really get, what that means. So if you can, just explain that for us. So what are soul ties?
Yeah, so soul ties, it's honestly a very interesting topic. And like I say, even with soul ties, a lot of people have soul ties. I mean, there was a time my TikTok inbox was flooding with people saying, I think I have a soul tie. And the concept of soul tie have been misunderstood a lot, especially by Christians, all right? Where Christians have been taught that when you sleep with someone, automatically there is a soul tie. And that's not true. So every time someone sleeps with another person, definitely there are impartations of spirits, because remember, sexual activity, it's quite spiritual. And even with that, there are people who don't believe that it's that spiritual. But when you think about it, mankind is a spirit being. So take two spirit beings, and they are able, whatever that they're coming together to do, produce another spirit being. So that should tell you that sexual intercourse is quite spiritual, right? So there will be those impartations of spirits, right? There are covenants that are created through sexual intercourse. But then we need to understand what is a soul tie, right? And now let's break down the word soul tie. So soul tie, it means it's made up by two words, a soul and then a tie. So it means someone's soul is tied to another, right? But what is a soul? Right? A soul is made up of the will. A soul is made up of emotions. It's made up of the mind. Right? So that means all these three have to be involved for someone to have a soul tie. The truth of the matter is, it's not everyone that you're going to sleep with that you will
even have an emotional
connection with. Right? And at the end of the day, I always say people who have one-night stands, for example, have we ever seen when someone commits suicide because there's this person that they slept with for one night, and then after that the person doesn't want to speak to them? It doesn't happen.
No.
Right? They're not connected like that.
That person is still a stranger. Even.
Exactly. You understand? So it means you can't say their soul is tied to that person because they still have the will to say, Makahambe, I don't care.
Your way, my way.
Yes. You see, so the will is still very much there. But then
they even call it in the world, no strings attached. So what is attached there?
You see? So that shows you there is no tie. So for a soul tie to be formed, firstly, there definitely has to be sexual intercourse because there has to be a covenant. And it means that covenant cannot happen once.
Yeah.
There has to now be a reinforcement of that covenant over and over again, right? Secondly, most of the time, it happens with people that have been together for a lot of years because then there was enough time for this covenant to be reinforced, and then there's issues like vows that were exchanged. I will love you forever. I will always
I can't live without you.
You're the very air that I breathe. You're the very air that I breathe. Type of things, and that's because people are so in love. They don't even think about what will happen tomorrow. They are in that moment and they're living in the moment of what they are feeling, all right? They don't think about what are the implications of
such.
You understand? And those are vows that are created in the spirit realm, because understanding that in the spirit realm, there are no jokes. We don't even have jokes.
Sure.
The spirit realm understands everything that we are hearing. And there's an imprint of whatever words that we utter. All right. So it means that when you are doing that, you are creating vows. So it's more like really, really, you are married, you are tied together.
And
right?
the spirit is recorded.
It's
this
recorded, exactly. And then there are, in some instances, there are even symbols of the covenant, like your promise ring, where now these people go as far as giving each other promise rings, and even that is recorded.
Even matching tattoos and things like that.
Exactly. You see? Hectic. So then that's when soul ties are formed. Now when it's time for these people to separate, it's a problem. I can't stop thinking about this person. Emotionally, I'm a wreck. I can't cope. I'm depressed. I want to come out. I see this person is hurting me. I don't have the will to leave them. So you can see on all 3 points, I'm tied to this person. So that's when now we say that you have a soul tie. And that's why you have situations where a person is even abused physically. And this person keeps on going back and going back. And we are wondering, why don't you leave? This person is going to kill you. It's because they are tied to this person. They want to leave, but there is no will to do so. So that's how you see then that this is a soul tie. But obviously, if there is no soul tie, even when you realize that, you know what, now I have the understanding that every time I sleep with someone, there is that exchange in the spirit. So you need to renounce all those relationships, sexual relationships that you had with that person.
Sure. Yeah, I think with that one is deep with the soul ties, because you also mentioned when you were giving the example that can you actually go and commit suicide with someone you just think. So it's as deep as, suicide or even someone killing someone because if you threaten to leave. So sure. Exactly. Yeah, I know that's hectic. And then, so as we progress, because I think this is quite a lot. So if you have questions, please also do pop them out in the comment section. But now, if we can discuss, there's also this issue of generational curses, right? Where, you'll see that maybe there's a certain pattern in the family, like there's the spirit of, or there's a pattern of anti-marriage or that and that. So if you can just also tell us about that.
Okay, yeah. So that's another area where a lot of believers needs, even unbelievers needs, deliverance. And maybe let me explain so that we understand the role of Christ in all of this and the role of salvation, right?
Yeah.
Because with this one, salvation really comes in. Okay, so you have generational curses. And I know generational curses, generational covenants, family altars are most of the time confused
To be one.
Right? And we can just take them one at a time. So generational curse means that there is a curse in the family, a curse in the bloodline. Like you're saying, there are certain patterns that you see, reoccurrences, so on and so forth. Sometimes it's even no one lives over the age of 50. You find that the men in that bloodline don't live over the age of 50, right? It means there is a curse. And it means someone was intentional on putting this curse on the bloodline, all right? But remember, the word tells us in Proverbs 26 that a curse without cause will not land. So for it to land, it means there was definitely a reason for that, right? And you see in cases where, for example, say this woman decides to have an extramarital affair with someone's husband, and the wife decides to consult to put a curse, that curse is going to land because that relationship it's a curse. So that curse then will land. It's illegal in the spirit, right? You went into someone's marriage and unfortunately, so in instances like that, they can not only just curse you, they can also curse that child, right? Sure. And there will be implications where now this child faces certain things and all of that. It is a generational curse. It started with the parent, or they will say that all of her children will never get married. But it started with just one person, and then the curse landed, and then now it's affecting everyone. So that's when now this curse, you need to deal with the curse and break the curse from the bloodline, right? And secondly, I spoke about family altars, or let me start first with covenants, right? So with covenants, you find that a great-grandfather decided to consult and create a covenant with whether a Sangoma or whatever god that they were worshiping. Remember, every time, and I don't think people understand this, every time you go to a Sangoma and you are asked Vumanibo, remember we've seen this in movies where they will say Vumanibo.
And you have to Vuma, otherwise...
No, they can't help you if you don't Vuma, because everything, you have a will, right? And you have to be in agreement for the covenant to be enforced. So now, the minute you say Nyavuma, already it means you are at their mercy. Whatever that's going to happen there, it's going to transpire in your life.
Sure.
It's the same thing when you come and you take Jesus as your Lord and Savior. You have to agree. There has to be confess, that covenant, that takes place. The same thing with money. Let's even go deeper into the issue of money. That's why you need to leave your money there. And you don't give that Sangoma money on the hand.
You have to
put it there, because now you are giving it to the gods of that Sangoma.
So they're on the altar.
They're on the altar.
Same as in church, right? We also give our money on the altar. We're like, God.
Exactly. That's why you don't give it to a pastor.
Yes.
You are actually leaving it on the altar. It's because that money doesn't belong to the pastor. It belongs to God. Right? It's the same thing.
Sure.
So we need to understand these things, that these things are spiritual transactions. Right? So this grandfather went and consulted this Sangoma and gave their yes, that whatever that I came to do, I agree, I'm in agreement, and I'm even pledging my money, and also understanding that money represents your life.
Sure.
That's why employers will say, I'm giving you 50 rands per hour, because money represents your life. So I'm giving you my life to your deity on this altar, and I'm saying, yes, whatever that you want to do it, I'm okay. So you find that there are covenants that were created there. So they're going to then affect your children, children's children, and all of your lineage. And let's take it also from the biblical point of view to show you that, because someone might feel like, but my grandfather made that covenant. I was not even there. How am I even affected? When you read the book of Hebrews chapter 7, where it explains the meeting between Melchizedek and Abraham, the word specifically says that even Levi gave a tithe to Melchizedek through Abraham because he was in the loins of Abraham.
It was in the generation to come.
Yes. So imagine I decide and consult a sangoma as a woman. Most probably I'm even pregnant as a woman. I'm pregnant with my daughter, just as an example, right? Because sometimes women will go and consult and say, when I'm pregnant, I want protection for my pregnancy. Let me go and consult. Do you understand that medically, every woman is born with their whole reserve of eggs? So it means when I consult, I'm not only pregnant with my daughters, I'm also pregnant with my grandchildren as well.
And they are
there. They are in my body. So as I am, all of me, when I present myself, my body to that altar, they are also in my body. So it means whatever that I'm saying yes to, they are also saying yes to, and it means it has to affect them. So that's how these covenants are formed, and they end up affecting the next the next generation, and so on and so forth, and all of the bloodline, right? Then there are family altars, right? And this one is quite tricky for a lot of believers. Because believers understand that, there are family altars that are speaking against my life, and no matter what I try, these things are there.
They're still there.
All right. But when you now go to the book of Genesis chapter 12, and you look when God called Abraham from his father's house, he says, come out of your family, out of your father's house, and I will bless you.
Yeah.
What was stopping God from blessing Abraham in his father's house?
Yeah.
It was because his father was an idolater. He was worshiping other gods. So it means the blessing could not come to him when he is in that family.
Sure.
Right? So he needed to be disconnected. And he says, come even out of your country, from your people. Because, this is so deep to an extent that we understand that when we are speaking about the country, there are certain sins that are sins of South Africa. So if you are in South Africa, you are one with them, right?
You're affected.
You are affected by them. That's why even as intercessors, when you repent on behalf of the country, you say we. You don't say they are sinning. You say we are sinning as a country, because you are in that country, right? From your people, things as far as culture, right? Where, let's say, for example, you hear things of where people tell you that, Zulus are stubborn, for example, right? So it means there are certain traits that are not godly, that are associated with certain tribes. You will hear people saying, Tswana people love alcohol. Colored love alcohol, they like to fight, so on and so forth. This tribe love women, or they love men. And so it means those are curses that came to that tribe, right? And for years we were aware of them, but we didn't understand. It's because also understanding that even the kings made certain covenants, right, with certain gods. So because of that, they traded with their tribes. It's deeper to that level. So when he says, come out of your country, from your people, that's understanding that there were certain altars that were speaking over Abraham, and he had to be taken out first for the blessing to come. And then you go to the book of Judges 6, where God speaks to Gideon. And he says, go to your father's house and break the altar, right, of Baal, break that altar, and then build an altar for me. So, and this is a reality of a lot of Christians where they have built an altar for God. For years, they've been trying to build an altar for God, but they did not deal with the family altar first. So they have an altar, but there's that one that's speaking against them. And this is where now the courts of heaven are key, right? True. But why specifically I mentioned the issue of salvation is because now when you come into the courts of heaven, you need to proclaim that now you are a child of God. Yes. Born of the seed of God in the spirit. And it means you belong in a new family, a family of God. Yes. Right? And that is why we call it being born again. Sure. Because the first birth is the birth of the flesh. Right? And this one is the birth of the spirit. That is why Kahiso, when you think about us, we throw baby showers, right? When someone is pregnant, we'll throw a baby shower. There's this celebration. Even when someone in our families give birth to a child, we announce. We are excited as a family and so on and so forth. We'll say this person has given birth to a baby boy and all of that. But now, the same thing happens when someone is born again. Because now there has to be an announcement in a new family. Yes. The word tells us that when one sinner repents, there is a joyous celebration in heaven. There's a shower in heaven. Exactly. So it shows you that there's an announcement, right, that someone is born again. When you are born the first time, you are born to your parents, your mother and your father. So they get to benefit. But the second birth is the birth of God, where you are born by the seed of God, right? And we are told when you have a new child, they have to be registered in Home Affairs. But we are told that when you get born again, you are registered in the book of life. Yes. That is the Home Affairs of heaven, where your name is now registered there, that you are now a citizen of heaven. So that's when now you understand that salvation is key. It's important because how are you going to go in the court of heaven and start explaining this thing that now I have this curse in my in my family? I can see it. What must happen? Because you still belong in that family. Sure. There isn't a second birth that needs to speak over your life. So. Yeah.
Thanks, Pastor. It's actually very deep because you also mentioned in the courts of heaven that there is also the spirit, there's testimonies, there's witnesses.
Exactly.
So same as in Home Affairs, there's also witnesses, right? So in the courts of heaven, you also have witnesses, that yes, she is born of us. And it's actually so nice. And I think the other beautiful thing is same with, generational curses. There's also generational blessings because then when you come into the family of Christ, all of those promises that he said, then they start to manifest. So we are actually very fortunate, right, to be born in the family of Christ. Amen. Okay, and I think in our previous episode, we actually just touched a bit on we mentioned, that what are some of the ways that believers can open themselves up. And you mentioned things like horoscope, yoga. So I just want us to just, also just highlight there in terms of this new age, religion. And I think with that one, it's also quite important because even believers, right, actually believe in such doctrine or actually practice new age without knowing. So if you can just balance us from that last topic we left pending.
Yeah, and the issue of new age, I don't know if, especially believers are aware how much it's gaining traction in the spirit, especially in South Africa. I mean, I think the first time God made me aware of new age was, I think somewhere 2009. There was a certain book. A lot of people bought that book. People were excited over that book, right? And I won't mention the name of the book, but I remember I had a colleague that had bought the book, or the husband bought the book, and she came excited telling us how you are God yourself, that you are self-sufficient, that, you attract things, and I just felt this unease in my spirit. And I remember we had the second colleague that also had read about that and was quite excited. And I started researching and I said, Lord, what is this book all about? And that's how I knew about New Age that long ago. And for a number of years, the Lord had never told me to speak much about New Age until recent years. I think when I started now teaching people against New Age was a year or 2 years ago. And I said, this is going to gain traction in South Africa. Just watch. So I need to prepare you so that you can also look at your children and teach your children against this thing, because New Age is targeting more the young people. 2000. They are falling more into the trap of New Age, where that New Age doctrine tells them that they are self-sufficient, they are gods all by themselves, and they don't need God, all right? And that is actually occultic at a very high level, and I don't think people understand how dangerous New Age is. Because if you have a child, and I've seen a parent that came to me and their child was into New Age. Actually, when that parent came and said, I need to speak to you about my child, the Lord revealed to me in that moment that the child is into New Age. And I actually said to the mother, don't tell me, I'll tell you.
Sure.
Your son is into New Age. This is what's happening. And she was shocked. She's like, most of the time, pastors don't even know about New Age. And I'm surprised that you know. And I said, no, God has been telling me about this New Age, that there's going to be a time where it's going to try to gain traction in South Africa. And it's going to more attack the young people like your son. All right. And at this point, what we need to understand is that they are able to even, do certain things. When people are into New Age, they're more into crystals, they're into tarot cards, that if you want to bring evil in your life, tarot cards. With New Age, they're able to summon spirits, right? And the issue with summoning spirits is that then they open portals into the family. And those spirits, unfortunately, because they are trying to, there's this power that they have access, they're excited about it. But when they summon these spirits are going to torment them. Suddenly they cannot sleep. They see dead people, they see all these things. And sometimes they even come out of their bodies, they astral project. So it's a whole lot of things that are happening. So parents need to be aware, especially with now, YouTube and all these things that are available on the internet. Kids now delve into these things and try to, get information on this. So that is why it's important to teach your kids at a young age. Teach them about Christ. When you are a believer, make sure that you go to church with your kids, pray with your kids, and tell them to guard against these things, all right? So some of them, they will even stop eating meat. They will just eat vegetables and fruits. Be aware of those things when you're a parent, that, so because it requires that they enter into those type of diets, and then it's going to make it easy for them to now start summoning all these spirits. So those things, even sage is evil. When people speak over that thing, all right, it will open portals in the spirit for the demonic to come in. So sometimes families are going through divorces, they're going through financial constraints. They don't know where all these issues are coming from. Kids commit suicide, but you find that your teenager has delved into these things that the internet is teaching them, and Very hectic.
Yeah, no, I think it's true with what you said about the young ones being the one that are susceptible to these things. I mean, if you think about it, it's a plan, right, of the enemy. That's why it's called New Age.
Yes.
Because my 2K, they don't even believe in this doctrine of ancestors. They say, underground gang.
Yes.
But then there's something else that, the enemy was like, okay, we'll catch them with this. So yeah, no, quite eye-opening, But thank you so much, Pastor T. So as we've mentioned, most of these things are afflictions. They are bondages. And, there's covenants that are made. And you find that, as you said, there are results. There is torment. There is even financial problems and that. So if you have been experiencing that, as we've mentioned, reach out. There is help. Pastor T is here to, help with the deliverance and further understanding. Okay. Is there anything else you want to add? Or for now, but I know we'll have more to unpack in our next episode. So as we've mentioned, our next in-person session is on the 13th of September. It will be in Pretoria at Acacia Hall, and it's actually quite exciting because we have Pastor Thembi as the host speaker, and we'll be having a guest speaker. Her name is Rory Sang, so I know a lot of people are quite familiar with her and quite excited. So Rory Sang Tandekiso, please remember to RSVP. If you don't RSVP, you will not get a seat. So just so that we can cater for you. The event is free. So also please do come with family members and people that actually do need to experience this Jesus that we talk about, right? And also, as we said, Pastor Thembi is a marriage counselor. So she is currently offering marriage counseling services. If you would like those services, please also leave a comment and we'll be in touch. When we touched on the spirit husbands and the spirit wives, those are some of the things that actually gets revealed before we get in marriages, so that you don't get in your marriage and you start experiencing these afflictions. And as we also said, Pastor Thembi is a prophetic intercessor. So actually these things are revealed prophetically. And it's really quite nice because then we get to flourish in our marriages as God has called it to be. All right. And that's it from us. We have our slogan. And yeah, that's how we wrap it up. That whatever comes your way, let it find you praying.